Facebook to me kind of seems like a dog and pony show website. That's not a website to me. And I bring that judgment usually when I'm searching restaurants and it sends me to their Facebook page that hasn't been updated in 6 months, 6 years. And I'm like, oh, okay. So a website to me is just more professional. I also have one because I know how to build them. So I have that advantage. Although these days on Squarespace, Wix, it's drag and drop. There's kind of no excuse to not have a website.
Well, welcome to Uncle Natchet's Woodshed. This is a little bit of a different format than we are used to. One of the things that I'm very excited about is to bring people that I know and friends of mine that are in the same business to kind of talk about what to do when you are first starting out in the music business, or you've been in a band forever, but now you want to know like how to take it to the next level, and we hardly ever know what to do. And with me today is my friend Bear Ryan. I met her in the Austin, Texas area. She fronted some bands there, did her singer-songwriter thing in Austin, Texas, and has since moved to Clarksdale, Mississippi, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, that's
And
correct.
where you have just started up a new project, the Delta Snakes. So I know you're doing your singer-songwriter thing there, and you're doing the Delta Snakes. So you started a whole new band, which I think is a great topic for us to maybe get into in a minute, because we talk a lot about on this channel about starting out, or what's the things you should avoid or the things you should do. And I think you have a great perspective coming up. You just started another band in a new town, new people. And but I wanted to say hi to Bear, and we'll just
Yeah,
start
man.
talking.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to take part. Man, I love this discussion because I've been the newbie and I've made all the mistakes, and anything I can do to help coach people along and give some advice, take it or leave it. But yeah, I mean, I started playing professionally in 2015, so I'm 10 years in and hit the ground running. Like I did 100 gigs in my first year. I took every
Wow.
single gig yeah, and that was intentional. We weren't good. We weren't ready, but we had time. We could take all the gigs, and I wanted to just get out there and get stage experience. And then, of course, after that first year, we pulled back the reins big time. But yeah, I mean, I've been everything. I started off as a singing drummer in like a punk blues band duo,
Wow.
and then I've gone 5-piece band. After the pandemic, I went solo, then duo, and now I'm back to a 4-piece band. So. Yeah.
Oh wow, you did the Phil Collins. You did the
Yeah.
you did the
Yeah,
Genesis. Wow.
little heavier, but yeah. Yeah. And I couldn't have been weirder. I was like a singing chick drummer who's left-handed and playing
Oh
punk
yeah,
blues. It's weird. Yeah.
that's right. I
Yeah.
you keep telling me, I keep seeing that you're left hand whenever I see you perform. And then you always remind me too. But then see, it's so weird seeing a drummer just face the other way. And you don't even know why. You're
Yeah.
like, why does this look so weird? And then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
That is a great but you starting out, you being a newbie, I think is one of the things I wanted to touch on. Because you moved to a whole new state, a whole new town. I'm assuming, I mean, maybe you knew some people, but I'm assuming it was like start from zero, right?
Yes.
As
Yeah.
far as music goes. Okay. So
Yeah.
like you dropped in, you already had your songs written, you already had your sound, and her sound is amazing. And of course, everything is going to be linked. So y'all definitely have to check out
Thank you.
Bear. She is amazing. Amazing songwriter and amazing sound. But you already had everything.
Thank
You
you.
had the songs, you had the sound. So you're starting from scratch. And one of the questions I had was, I was thinking about, because I've done this too, go to a new city, and it feels
Mhm.
like you have 1,000 things that you need to do. Like you need to have the website ready, or you need to have your bio ready with the new information, or you need to have this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
What were like for you getting this all set up? What do you think are like the main things that you need to focus on when you're dropping in, you're starting from scratch,
Yeah.
new beginnings?
Um, well, couple things. I mean, sadly, you kind of don't exist if you don't have an online presence, especially if you're younger. The older cats can get away without it, but you want to be able to point people to your Instagram, your website, your Facebook, your TikTok, whatever you're using. I focus heavily on Instagram, but I share everything from my Instagram to my Facebook. I do have a website. So I kind of at least had those. up and running so that when I was on the ground, in the clubs, I could point people to something that they could check out later. But number one thing when you move to a new town, new state, new country is you have to be on the scene. And I'm a total introvert and hermit. I would prefer to be home with my dogs writing songs. Um,
Mhm,
but they can't get to know you unless you're there in front
mhm,
of, and I mean, this is where, I know we'll get into the AI conversation, I'm sure at some point, but I'm not AI, I'm a real person. And so I go into the club and you got to talk to the musicians and all that. So it's being present. And I learned that lesson because I am a bit of a hermit. I was kind of withdrawing from the club scene in Austin, especially after the pandemic and stuff. And
mhm.
I was wondering why I wasn't gigging much and I wasn't getting the email responses and all that. And I was reminded like you have to be in the rooms you want to play. And you got to be around the people you want to play with. And I had to find who were those people. So it was going and listening to bands. Oh, that drummer's great. Oh, that guitar player's great. Just you got to be on the scene. Yeah,
I think that's actually a really good answer. It's a good answer, but I think it's very interesting in the way that you kind of said two things there. You said you have to have an online presence, and you do have to have that, but then you also have to be present. You have to be kind of out there, unless you want to exist, in YouTube, like where we're at, and that's it.
yeah,
I
and
didn't
it's
really.
you're absolutely right. And if you are going to be one of those people who just wants an online presence, awesome. Be excellent at
Yeah,
it. Like you don't have
of
to be on
course.
the scene if that's the case. Maybe you're a DJ, maybe you're just creating like video content. Totally cool. I'm in a rock and roll band and I want to play in clubs,
Right. That's kind of,
so
yeah.
I have to go talk to other people. Yeah.
No, and that's actually, I don't know. To me, it just kind of feels like a no brainer, but it actually like bears saying, especially after we had that pandemic and we were kind of locked away and we're kind of coming up with all these different ways. I think after that, we were also glad to get out again, but I think it kind of stuck with us a little bit. Like our habits kind of maybe changed or shifted without us even knowing it. Like how much more we did stuff
Yeah.
online or how much more we were trying to connect that way.
I'm not out like 5 nights a week, even if it's 1 night a week, but I do make myself go out and be social, and that's also where I'm interfacing with the venue owners.
Yeah,
If they're
sure.
seeing you, first of all, you're supporting their venue so they like you. But also you may be the first to come to their mind if they've saw you last week when they need something filled. If you're not around and you're not present, you can be forgotten. And it doesn't mean they don't like you. But if you were there
Right.
last Thursday night and they have an open up on Saturday, you might be the first to come to their mind.
That's true. And I was thinking of so many times that I've done that, like gone into a club and got booked that day just
There.
because they knew and they saw me. Oh, hey, Natchet. And then
Let's get you on the
you know what?
calendar.
Somebody fell through on
Yes.
Thursday. Can you do it on Thursday? Like, hold on, let me text everybody and find. Yeah, exactly. And that was actually
Yes.
that's actually a good point. I noticed as well. You kind of have to set everything up for those clubs. So when you
Yes.
go in and talk to them, and I'm sure you remember this, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just the old one here, but like going around to all those clubs with like CDs and walking
Yes.
in, and maybe I had a website, but nobody cared about the website. Nobody cared about
Yeah.
MySpace or Friendster or whatever we were on, but they wanted to
Right.
see what you had on that CD. But those days are gone. You can't, you bring a CD, they're just going to chunk it out the window
Yeah.
and they're going to go
They
on
don't
your
they literally
Instagram and
don't
they're
have
going
the
to go,
device to play it.
right, literally. And they're
Yeah.
going to look on Spotify and they're going to try to find you and they're going to go to your YouTube or they're going to try to find who you are or whatever. And they'll talk to, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. And they're going to go to start doing their research after that. So it's
Yes.
kind of like
Yeah.
you have to have those ducks in a row, I guess, to be seen or be
Absolutely.
found. But
Absolutely. You have to
that's,
make it
yeah,
as easy on them as possible because they have a million other things going on. Um, And, say you do run into a booker in a club and they're like, oh, Bear, good to see you. Da da da. We need to make a show happen. Cool. Then the next day I can go to my emails, send something, and I'm probably going to cut through the noise because they talked to me the night before. They might see the email from Bear Ryan in the inbox and go, oh, I should open this. But if they haven't seen me in 2 months, they're just scrolling. So it's
Right,
just little
right.
things that help. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice. One thing I wanted to point out is that you mentioned, and I noticed this before, you have a website, an actual website. Like you can type, it's it's not on Facebook. It's not just an Instagram link. I have it. I have
Fairrhinemusic.com.
it. It'll be linked in there. Everything's gonna be linked. But and I sent you that thing like, hey, you have a website. WTF? What the fuck? Like that's
Yeah.
fantastic. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the website? Why do
So
you have a
the
website?
website, so it's a
Because
double-edged
Facebook
sword.
exists,
Yeah.
Bear. You
Yeah.
have a Facebook page. Why do you need a website, Bear?
Well, I'm going to sound like a jerk here, but Facebook to me kind of seems like a dog and pony show website. That's not a website to me, and I bring that judgment usually when I'm searching restaurants, and it sends me to their Facebook page that hasn't been updated in 6 months, 6 years, and I'm like, oh, okay. So a website to me is just more professional. I also have one because I know how to build them, so I have that advantage. Although these days on Squarespace, Wix, it's drag and drop. There's kind of no excuse to not have a website. And if people are really scared of building websites, I use Bandzoogle for my EPK.
Hmm.
And you can also just build a whole website through there, and it's super user friendly. But it's kind of your website is it's your brand, it's representing you. And if you're going through Facebook, you're on the Facebook brand and then you. So I feel like it's more professional. I feel like visually you can have more fun with it and design it the way you want it. You go to Facebook, it's their logo at the top, it's all that stuff. So however, at the same time, I feel like a website is a bit of a dinosaur.
Hmm.
Like it's almost like having your phone number in the yellow pages, and it's like, well, nobody uses that anymore. I don't even really, I should look at the analytics. I don't know how many people go to my website, but I know who does, and it's bookers. And if you go search every single one of your favorite bands, they have websites because
Hmm.
a professional handled that. So, um, you don't need it the first day of your career, but as you start to move forward, it's a legitimacy thing. Yeah. And you have control over it.
One thing about yours that I liked that if you follow my channel, you'll know I love this. But Bear has her EPK right there on the top, clickable on the top of that. Uh, which, like you said, you would imagine it's mostly the bookers that go. You didn't look at the analytics, but I think that's a pretty good bet. And your
Yeah.
EPK is right there at the top. And then I went and looked at it, and it is a fantastic EPK. And
Oh,
you said you
thanks.
do that through Bandzoogle.
Bandzoogle. Yeah, it's just a
Okay.
link but it creates a
Yeah.
custom page for you. And I went and looked at example EPKs of the big pros, and I literally just borrowed. Okay, they
Hmm.
put their links to their socials at the top. They did this. Just borrow. I mean, you don't have to borrow their verbiage, but yeah,
No,
just
it
make
was
it easy
great
on yourself.
because
Yeah.
if I was booking you, I could get your pictures there. Or if I wasn't sure if I was going to book you yet, your videos were there, your music links were there, and you even had some press there. You had stuff listed there where you would talk to people on the radio, or even had. I loved that you had your past shows and you had some recent shows too, which was I think
Yeah.
really great. Because if
Yeah.
somebody's booking that they could be like, "Oh, she played there. Well, she needs to play my club." Or I one of the things I would say to anyone watching this is check out her website and check out that EPK. I think that is a fantastic, and it's super easy, super simple. You have the pictures up there that like you want to use, so it's not like somebody's going to take that really shitty 600 by 800 pixel picture and put it up on a 11
Because
by
they
17
will.
poster because they
They
will.
will if you
Oh,
if
and
you
it's
don't
all
help them.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? They may still do that, but at least you had it available in high res and you had it. And I think that was one of the things I thought that was really cool about your website.
Yeah.
I want to defend, I want to actually debate you about this dinosaur thing, but I think you're right. It is. I don't want to let go. I think websites are so important for the exact reasons you said.
Yeah, and I mean, dinosaur or not, it'll be like the last thing that I lose because you want to control your brand and your image and your sound, and you can't do that effectively on definitely on Facebook. Instagram, you can kind of control your grid a little bit more.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you want to go to a certain level, this is where bookers are going to go. And also, you don't necessarily know when you send an email which social media channel that booker prefers. They may be
Hmm.
a YouTube person. They may be a Facebook person. They may be an Instagram, whatever. And so on your Facebook and your EPK, you can have all the links and they get to choose where they are going to go experience you.
That's
But if
actually a
you're
really
just
good point.
relying on Facebook as your website and they don't even have Facebook, you're you're not getting booked.
Speaking of booking, that actually brings up something I wanted to talk to you about. And I remember one time we were talking about booking gigs, and you sent me this amazing Excel spreadsheet full
Yes.
full of venues with contact information and even little notes like doesn't pay that great, but they buy food and the food is fantastic and it's worth it if you're heading to Dallas, or if it's worth it if you're, and it was an amazing, very old school type of way to track this stuff. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if you want to talk about that. Like, what is your process as far as booking? Because you had compiled
Yeah.
that. And when I saw that, I everything I did was kind of out of my memory until you sent that. And that changed my
Yeah.
entire. Now I have that. I still have that same one, and I have another tab that's for where I'm at now, So it's like,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. You totally blew my mind with that. And I was wondering if maybe you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you. So I created that, but what I've also found is that so many of my musician friends have the same thing or a similar thing, and we will actually send them back and forth to each other and just
Love it.
copy paste, because it takes a tribe. We all gotta, you find your musician friends who don't keep their cards close to their chest and they're willing to share and like, keep them close because you're gonna help each other out. In fact, I have a Zoom call with a buddy of mine in Mississippi who lives 2 hours away, who's willing to share a bunch of venue information with me next week. So we're gonna get on the phone but yeah, and I now have the new Mississippi tab. I keep my Texas
I
tab
love it.
because when I go
Uh
back,
huh.
and I neglect it sometimes, and then sometimes I'll get on there and I'll just update everything. But I used to keep it up here and I was overwhelmed. But also, what I do is, of course, I follow a million musicians and a lot of people who are doing something similar to what I'm doing. So I'm paying attention to what clubs they're playing. And when I see, oh, Natchet just played Red's Blues Clubs in Coldwater, Mississippi. I'm putting it in the spreadsheet. And then first, I'm going to try to find the contact information myself. But I'm also probably going to message Natchet and say, hey,
I
man,
love it.
who's the actual booker? What do I need to know? And the majority of my musician friends, we're always sharing information. Yeah.
You and I have done that before for sure. I remember that. And I
Yeah.
loved it because
Yeah.
it's very hard, especially when all they have is a Facebook page, like you were saying.
Yeah.
These clubs, there's no contact
Yeah.
information there, and nobody's
Yeah.
checking those inboxes. So, and I love that. It takes a tribe. It does, and I love that. I think that's very important for us today is to be able to again. I guess it's still online, but still maintain those connections.
And I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a club, seen the booker or the owner, and been like, they've said, hey, Bear, I haven't heard from you. And I've said, oh, I've emailed you from your website. Oh, that's an old email. We don't even check that anymore. Cool. Okay.
Totally
Can I get that new email? But a musician friend might know that, oftentimes
right.
you'll message a friend and they'll say, oh man, that's like the fake email. Use this one
Yeah,
because they're totally
totally,
overwhelmed. Yeah.
totally.
So you have to do a lot of digging and all that. One little piece of advice, and I'm just going to say it before I forget it, especially for newbies who are trying to get their first gigs. That first year that I played 100 gigs in a year, almost none of them were through email because I was so new. I mean, I didn't even really have videos of us playing. We were faking it, taking videos of our practices, which do that. We
Do
made them
that.
look cool. We made them look cool. Some of them you
Hmm.
couldn't tell. But that first year, definitely the bookers had no idea who I was, kind of didn't care. So I went down to the clubs. I made friends with bands. And of those 100 gigs, I bet 80% of them were booked by another band had a bill and they were like, I can put 3 bands on this. Hey, Bear, you want to come play? I played Beerland 7 times and the booker had no idea who I was. They never responded to my, and I was like, I've played your club 7 times and they had no idea. And it was because other bands put me on the bill. So email's not your only way to book a show. You can definitely book through other bands, and I highly recommend it for the newbies to form that community. And then, I mean, that's how you get taken on tour with bigger bands. You might be at the right place, the right time, and they scoop you up. Oh, we've got the spot to fill in these 2 cities. You want to come play?
That's true. That
So
is true.
do the
That's actually
email,
really
but
good
also do
advice.
the analog. Yeah.
Same with me. That was exactly how it was for me. My place was, I don't know if you remember, but it's Headhunters. It was that,
Hmm.
it was across from Beerland.
Yeah.
Oh, but I think that's great advice, because when you book a show and they're like, hey, do you know anybody else that wants to play? We need to maybe fill 2 more spots.
Yes.
Yes, of course. That would be like, oh, hey, Bear, do you want to, you call those people that you know and who can, yeah. It's very hard.
Happens
It's
all the
very
time.
difficult booking. One of the videos I talked about how I had done it for like a small, I don't know, maybe a
Yeah.
year, at
Yeah.
Headhunters, believe it or not. And it was the worst job. It is not for me. It is so hard to keep all
So
those places filled.
I saw your video, and I think it was important for me to see that because it helped me form some empathy because I have a strong love-hate relationship with
Yes.
bookers. Oh, man. But when I
Yes.
when I saw that you had done it and how hard it was, I was like, okay, maybe it's harder than I think.
One thing I want to talk about, you have a new album coming out soon. So Bear
Yeah.
Ryan and the Delta Snakes' new album, Low and Slow, coming out late this year or maybe next year, possibly, depending on.
Early 2026. Yeah. So the Delta
And
Snakes are kind of like a moving cast of characters. That's why I kind of kept it as Bear Ryan and the Delta Snakes. I just
okay.
wanted to be the Delta Snakes, but because the band members will change a little bit, sometimes I can get this drummer, sometimes I can get that drummer. That's why they're kind of like my backup band. But yeah.
What I noticed, I think I saw it on one of your social media posts or something. I think you were actually doing the same thing, inquiring to your tribe as to where to print CDs. So it sounds like that's going to come out on physical media. Is that correct?
Yes, but I'm in a pretty unique situation regarding physical media. I live in the Mississippi Delta, and Clarksdale is a it's basically ground zero, home of the American blues. I mean, this is where American blues was born, is in the Delta of the United States. And
Hmm.
my town has leaned into kind of blues tourism. Well, that demographic is generally like 60 and up. I mean, if you're 40 or 50 in this town hanging out at a festival, you're like the youngin'. So I'm very intentionally doing that because I can sell CDs because they still want CDs. So if I lived in Austin, I would not be having CDs made. I would probably do a small run, and that's only to send to radio stations that still require them to do a review or to play. They're dated, but they still exist. And, um, I don't call my music blues, but I can be played on blue. It's rock and roll, but I can be played on blues stations and stuff.
For
So that
sure.
was a really intentional decision that I made based on my demographic. Most cars don't even have a CD player in them anymore.
Hmm.
So now vinyl's different. Vinyl is like kind of experiencing this resurgence, and I wish I could quote the statistic, but I heard a statistic: the percentage of people who will buy a record just to support the band and to have a keepsake who don't even own a record player, which kind of bugs me, but also like that's sweet that they want to support. So vinyl, it's worth my while, and I'm going to do it for this first album. And a lot of that goes back to who I am as a music fan. I grew up with the album. I've always wanted to make an album, but it's very expensive. So I don't think that
Hmm.
every release I do will be vinyl. So a lot of my stuff, it'll all also go online. And, I'm wrestling with the demons of Spotify and AI and all that stuff right now and trying to make decisions. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's have this conversation then. What are your thoughts in general on like the way the setup is right now? Let me be a little more specific. maybe on like a previous video I made somewhere about, we were talking about, the streaming, and we were talking about physical media as well. I think actually what you were saying was pretty important about knowing your demographic or knowing where you're at as far as when you decide to print the physical media. And once you record it, it's not very expensive after that to make it available on these streaming
Correct.
services. However,
Yeah.
the money that you get back, even with lots of streaming, is pretty much next to nothing.
So streaming is an absolute trash deal, and it upsets me when I think about it because we've just paid a fortune to record, and then you actually have to pay to upload it to basically give it away for free and get fractions of a penny back. So like you can't do the math on, I just spent this on an album, am I going to make that money back through streaming?
Right.
Unless you're clocking millions of streams. However, I kind of believe that releasing music has been a trash deal for several decades. What I try to focus on is the positive, which is when I look at my analytics and I'm amazed that somebody in Germany or Ireland, they're listening to my music. I don't even know how they found my music, but I mean, I make this because this is my art and I want it out there, And a lot of the stuff that I put online is just to get booked for the live show. They have to be able to find your music. I always put it up for available for sale for download because the rare people exist who still want to pay for the music and download it, and I so appreciate them.
And you use Bandcamp for that, yes?
I use Bandcamp for that, yes. And it's fun. I'll wake up to an email of somebody just downloaded my entire collection of music. It's like, oh, that's so cool. But I'm more and more every single day I'm wrestling with, especially Spotify with their actions and stuff, particularly with what they're doing with AI and all that.
Yeah, we talked about that on this channel a little bit. It's kind of a crazy thing.
What are your feelings? Because I think all of us musicians are looking at each other going, how do you feel about this?
I know. My thoughts are, I feel like the way I look at Spotify and all of that is like you already touched on it. It's like, to me, it's marketing, and that's just where it's just where it is. It's still funny to me. It's very, and maybe this is something we need to keep a secret still, but it's funny to me how when people see you on Spotify or your music and they just think you are just half to legit already. You know what I mean? Like we may not be like multi-platinum selling artists, but when somebody sees you on Spotify or they can listen to you on Apple Music or whatever, they're like, oh, well, you must be something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if they only knew how easy it was, it's kind of one of those things, like you're not legit, like you said, with your online presence or your social media. You're not legit unless you're on these streaming platforms. So I look at it as a marketing tool. The thing that I don't know, I'm struggling, and maybe this is a whole other conversation. Maybe we should have a whole other like podcast episode with me and you on this. But I'm kind of weighing the difference of like only maybe putting some stuff out on Spotify, singles, things that, for the bookers, for people to get involved, for the playlists, maybe like the catchier, I don't know, the hits, or I don't know, and then selling the album on Bandcamp or selling the album in a physical copy or something where you can get all the songs. Just a thought. It's one of those things I'm toying around because it's like, okay, if I decide, okay, this is a marketing tool, I don't need to share everything with Spotify. I don't need to share everything on YouTube Music.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I also feel like you made this art and you want it to get out there. And I love it too when I open my analytics and see like I had an old band, and it had this like resurgence. I don't know, but overseas, like Eastern Europe, in Russia, and then in Asia, for no reason. I have no idea why. And it was so cool. And I haven't released anything in that band forever. And it was just cool to see that it's out there, that somebody discovered it, and then somehow there was this flash of, and now it's I get 2 streams a month on it. But it's just,
I heard that.
I'm with you. I want the art out there. That's why we made it, right? So I'm kind
Yeah,
of
and I don't
torn.
when I use online streaming, there's people who are super motivated by the streams and getting on the playlist and figuring out the algorithm. Like I'm not using it in that regard in any way. It is just putting my art out there and then I'm moving on to the next thing. I should probably give it more focus, but here's what I love is I played recently a show a few weeks ago and this group of 5 guys were singing along and they knew every word to at least 5 or 6
Wow.
of the songs that I played. And that's
Wow.
not like an ego thing, like I feed off of that energy. And I was like,
Right.
I don't know why they know the words to my songs, but they're singing them back to me and that sharing of energy and they found me they knew him online, you know, and the younger people who come to my show, they don't have a CD player, they don't have a record player, but they can go online. And I know I mean, I like checking out new music, but I love going to shows where I know all the words to the songs
Yeah.
and I'm gonna sing along with the band. So if I
Yeah.
can give people that opportunity so that the live show is that much better, like that's what it's doing for me, is like, oh, we can connect because you've heard these songs before. How cool, you know? So, yeah, I'm just kind of I'm trying to remember like when I was young and I went to a show, yeah, I probably had the CD cuz I begged my mom to drive me to the mall for weeks and but I listened to it a million times and I knew every word to every song that the
Hmm.
band played. So, this is the new version of that until something better comes along, you know.
True. We're gonna put a pin in that because I don't know how I
Yeah.
feel. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
halfway. I'm with you. I 100% agree with you on that. But then I also
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't know.
choosing optimism and I mean the
That's why I
real
ask you
like
these questions. I love hearing your
well,
optimism.
but the realist in me is basically like if we would all take our music down off of these damn platforms, we could gain control over it and actually guide how music is consumed. That's how I really feel. And then the realist in me is like 25-year-olds don't care. They didn't consume music the way we did. And you know what's really this is a total aside, but what's kind of reminding me of that is that I'm a barber by day and I am a barber to an aging community. Like my customers are 70 and up and I'm in my 40s and they talk to me a lot about, well, we used to do it this way back in the day and it used to be like this. And I've gotten to the point where I was like,
Yeah.
I don't care. It's never going to be that way, you know? And there's a lot of kind of negativity coming from them in that regard. And I was like, it's not going to go back to 1950, sir, you know? And so I do think that musicians coming up have a very different perspective. And me sitting there going, well, I used to go to the store and buy CDs is not productive for them,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Because CD stores aren't opening back up.
No, they're not. Oh, you were talking about getting those masters back. I did want to ask you about that. Like, did you record in a studio?
Hmm.
Did you do like some DIY stuff too? Or did y'all like, what did y'all do for recording that album?
So, definitely early, like brand new baby musician, recorded my own stuff. And um, even though the quality isn't that great, I don't regret that because the learning curve was amazing. And it taught me so, first of all, just get your stuff out there. Doesn't have to be perfect. People like to watch your evolution as a musician anyway. Some people are someday are going to be like, I liked your old garbage stuff, you know? So,
Yeah.
get stuff out there, learn it, get a interface, you know, and, use GarageBand. I used GarageBand the first time I did it, you know, and then, you know, start to level
GarageBand is
up.
actually really, it's actually really good. It's like, it has
Totally.
great sound. You can do a lot of things on that.
Totally. And what I did is I learned just enough that when I went into professional studios, I could hang with the conversation. I
Uh,
also knew a little bit more about what I wanted and how to articulate that. I'm still pretty terrible about it because I'm not like a technically trained musician, but that helped a lot. It helped my confidence, you know, just knowing where the chords go and what's going on and you know turn the AC unit off before you press record. Those are like little things that become huge things because they help you act really pro in a studio because you've kind of been there before. But then once you reach a certain level, I do believe in paying people. don't get things for free because then you can't hold people's feet to the fire and expect, have expectations. So your buddy
Okay,
who
hold on.
wants to,
Let's
yeah,
let remember, but I don't want to derail you, but I want to say that this advice right here is gold. This is something like, to me, that was like probably one of the biggest things I learned as well is
yeah,
pay for it. Pay for it because it's you're helping somebody else out with their job, with what they do. But also you have to have that accountability, and like, if your buddy's doing it for free, it's so hard for you to say, hey man, that mix is horrible. You need to
yeah,
remix this, because it's like
yeah,
they're doing it for free, right? But if you're paying
yeah,
somebody, it's a whole different thing. Anyways, go ahead. I just want to point out that I think
yeah.
that is like a gem of
Well,
advice.
and I say it because I've made every mistake in the book. I've accepted the free recording, mixing, and all that stuff, which so generous of that person. And we got through it. I've also bartered. I cut men's hair, and so I've cut people's hair for someone always feels like they're on the bad end of the barter, whether they verbalize it or not. So pay for things, and then you can have expectations if something's taking forever. Also pay promptly. Like I pay immediately. No one's waiting on because your reputation precedes you. Studios will
Mm,
know that you don't pay and they will talk
yeah.
about it forever. So, I mean, I'm working with a graphics designer right now and I just messaged him, said, "Hey, can I pay you my 50%? And the other 50% when you're done?" He said, "No, you can pay me 100% at the end." That's cool. That was worked out. But pay fast, then you can have standards, expectations. Also, you're going to get people who are pros. Like the
Hmm.
album that I just recorded, I could not have recorded at home. And I got the album of my dreams because I was willing to pay.
Ah,
I didn't pay what a lot of my friends in Austin pay for studio. I probably paid half. But that's also because I had recorded myself before. I knew how to use my time well. I like blue collar it. When I go in the studio, song sheets printed, we're rehearsed. I know the song, but that allows you to then make creative decisions because we're not writing the song in the studio, we can spend some extra time figuring out which amp is cool for this guitar. So, yeah.
yes, yes. I guess another thing which I didn't think of until you were talking, you said you had the record of your dreams. First of all, that it made me so happy to hear that. But also,
Yeah.
uh, you're right. Like, pay for it because that record's there forever.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's like,
Once you're ready, you have those songs like this is my art. This isn't just something that I'm goofing around with. So make it great.
yeah,
Uh Rick Rubin says like make it whether you believe or not, like make it an offering to God or make it an offering to yourself. Because if you do that, like you're not going to do less than. It's like um go in and like seek excellence. And it could be excellence in like gnarly punk rock, and your goal is to make it actually sound as shitty as possible, but do it the best. So
right.
yeah.
I
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's fantastic advice. So glad you said that. Um, One other thing I wanted to ask you about that I had written down is I want to talk about your songwriting process. And this is probably more selfish for me. But one of the things I wanted to offer on this channel is stuff about songwriting as well, which I think is a little more intuitive. It's a lot less like, here's the 5 steps to writing a great song. I mean,
Yeah.
what's your process like? You have a
Yeah.
you have a very cool sound. You have a very Bear Ryan sound, and I know the ly- and for me, lyrics are like everything. So that's why I'm such a huge fan of yours too, because I love your lyrics. And when y'all go see how Bear sounds, you want to sit back. You want to put headphones on. You want to sit back, and you want to like it because it is a very immersive. I think you even used the word hypnotic in your bio, and I was like, that's the word. When I listen, I can't be driving a car. I can't listen to Ryan driving a car. I have to
Yeah.
like, I have to experience it. And so, what is your songwriting process? Is there
Um,
one?
Yeah, I would say there is. It's nebulous, but there is one. So I've been a writer my whole life, obsessed with writing, gonna write no matter what. You can't stop me from writing. So it begins with writing, and I think that is always I have a designated room. I often light incense. I just do that because I enjoy it, but I do think there's a little bit of I'm clocking in now when I light the incense, you know. But I have to be kind of solitary. And for me, writing is a pretty spiritual process. So I do a lot of like flow and free writing. I've never sat down and said to myself, I am going to write a song about this topic right now. Um,
Okay.
I honestly, I would challenge myself now to do that, like to try it, you know, maybe work with prompts and stuff. But I tend to, I'll get weird on you. I think I channel. So I'm actually just kind of seeing what comes. I have like yeah, and I have piles of notebooks, and they're mostly one-liners that have come into my head when I'm driving, when I'm working, and I write them down. And so, but it'll usually just be one line, but I know it's a hook or something that could
Oh
turn
yeah,
into
you
a
got
song.
those. I'll hear those and be like,
Uh, yeah. So a whole song is usually written based on a line that I thought of or heard. I have literally behind the camera right now is just yellow legal pads of scribbles and all this stuff. Oftentimes, because people will ask, like, do you write the lyrics first and then the music or vice versa? I tend to write kind of at the same time. I'll kind of drone on a guitar.
hmm
And, once I hit like a groove or a riff that I really like, then I'm digging through paperwork to find the line that has the cadence that goes over it. And it's super, super, kind of loose and groovy for me. And ones that I feel like I'm tapped into another source, they can actually happen really, really fast, and that's cool. And ones that are sort of coming more from like me, often they take longer. I have to wrestle them to the ground, but it's just as exciting as like when you land on something great. So, but I'm a huge lyric head as well. I seek out bands with great lyrics and, you know, all that stuff.
You know, it's really great to hear that. It's also funny how none of that surprises me at all. Nothing you said surprised me. I hear that. What's kind of fascinating to me is that some of those lines that you say that I really, really like, I'm now thinking like could have been something that you came up with like 6 months ago. And then you're writing a song and then you're like, oh wait, I have the hook for that. And it like finds its way in there. Like I think
Oh
that
yeah.
is
I mean,
fantastic.
I just wrote a song, and I mean, this is an extreme example, but I just wrote a song with a line from a poem that I wrote over 20 years ago. And I've been sitting on that poem for 20 something years, knowing
hmm
it needed a place. Like, I'm going to get this into a song. And it's super simple, but I say it at shows where I'm like, hold on to that line, man. Take the notes. Like, just wait. The song will present itself, and you can't rush it. When you rush it, they don't end up good, you know, good. But it'll find its spot, you know. So, and the two, for the people who are kind of collecting lyrics as they go through the day, write it down, write it down, write it down. Cause there's so many lyrics that it'll come into my head and I'm like, that's so good. I could never forget it. And 20 minutes later, I'm like, what was that
Right.
line? It's gone, you know? And just, uh, songwriting is a wonderful opportunity to just to put your phone down and pay attention to what's going on around you because people are saying crazy stuff all day long or doing crazy things, and there's inspiration everywhere. Um, and then I think the hardest part about songwriting is sitting down and doing it. Like stopping the distraction, carving out the time, and just sitting down. And I'll go months, you know, nothing's coming, nothing's coming. And then all of a sudden I'll have a month of just flow where it's just
Hmm.
song after song after song. But the discipline of sitting down, there's a great book called The War of Art. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's a really simple book. It's a type of book that you can just open to any page, grab a nugget and go. And it's you know, a lot about overcoming distraction and resistance.
One thing I was saying, you were saying put your phone down, but our phones now are fantastic tools for songwriting. Like you said, write it down. We don't often have a paper and a pen, and if we don't want to type it into notes in iPhone or in some sort of text edit, we have that voice memo app, which I think is fantastic.
Oh,
And I'm sure
both,
you have,
both my
like I do,
notes. Yeah.
gigs
Yeah.
of voice memo apps of old songs that we need to get to and need to sort out. So
Yeah, and
I
honestly,
think that
because
is
I do the notes and the voice memos, like if I am stuck, I'll just scroll really far down my voice memos, listen to a couple of things. I'm like, oh, that was a cool idea. Let's try that. Yeah. Oh, you know what though? It's probably for another podcast because we got to do this again. But because I've watched your videos and stuff. I really love how much you're addressing the live performance and I'm learning from your videos, like, I'm being reminded of things like, "Hey, dude, you gotta tighten that up," or, because like, I love that you tell people not to tune audibly. Of course, I don't, but I do have to tune between every song a lot because I play cigar box guitars, and so
right,
I'm
right.
really thinking about, like, how am I filling that space, and I'm super intentional about it, except when I'm not, and that's sloppy, and so, I love that you're coaching people on live performance because that's a whole other art in and of itself.
Well, thanks. And to be completely honest, a lot of the stuff that I say is stuff that I know I need to work on as well. So it's one of those things like I'm saying it because if I say it now if you show up at my show or something, you're gonna be watching. So now I know like I gotta do it. Do you have any like a live music gem, a live music piece of advice that maybe we haven't covered or maybe one that you like?
Yeah, I mean, for the newbie, I think one of the big lessons you learn is, as far as your gear, bring two of everything, bring two guitar cords, two tuners, because you will have gear failures, and you can go from it being a small hiccup to like really ruining your internal vibe if you don't have the screwdriver to fix the thing real quick, So really kind of your gear and like the tools that you're bringing to troubleshoot problems because they all happen and they will happen. Bring a mic cord. Yes, the venue might have one, but theirs is crapped out and suddenly you don't have vocals, So I bring, an extra case of just extra, amp cord, all the things. So that's more like just preparation and stuff. But I think you nailed a lot of the live performance stuff, work with your band, no noodling, I'm a storyteller, so I do tell stories on stage, but like they are part of the show. I don't
Mhm.
like random banter and inside jokes because it's lame, super lame. So it should be curated. Yeah. And people who think that's
Yes.
uptight, it's like once you're on stage, you are an entertainer, you're a performer, and you're putting on a show. Like, make it awesome. You can be super creative with it, but if it's intentional, you'll keep there. We're fighting for attention spans now, so you got to be
Oh
tight.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about the storytelling, and I did talk about that actually. Storytelling is an art, and
Yes.
it's important to hone in that art like you would in playing guitar or in singing or any other part. If it's
Yeah.
almost like the story itself is like a part of the song.
Also, I will also curate a set list to the gig. If I have a 2.5 hour
Mm,
gig, I'm going to tell stories. I'm going to curate it because it's a long gig. Like 2 weeks ago, we had a 45-minute set at a festival. Me and the dudes got together. We picked our 8 highest tempo songs that we can go one to the other, no talking, no fluff. And it was just like boom, boom, boom. Let's put on a rock and roll show. Like, I
true.
think you referenced Dee Dee Ramone, and there's like a live album of theirs where the only way you can tell the difference between the songs is he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's awesome. Like that's what a
Awesome.
rock and roll band should do. So yeah,
Agreed. And what the best part about the Ramones, and somebody either they said it or somebody was talking about them was like, hey, if you don't like the song, just wait like 90 seconds and you'll get a new song. I think Joey would say like one thing just to set up a song. Like here's Pet Cemetery, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. And I agree.
awesome. If the venue feels like a living room, you can act a little bit more like you're in your living room. But if you are putting
That's
on a rock and roll show,
I
man,
like
if you're
that.
putting on a rock and roll show, there can be zero space. Like go,
No,
go, 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 go. Yeah,
go punch them, punch them,
and it's
punch them.
fun.
That's it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. It is. That's actually good for the band too, right?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Bear. I really appreciate you showing up on my show. I would love to have you back sometime. We can chat about
Yeah, man.
any
I
number
could
of
talk
these things.
endlessly about this, so thank you.
Yeah, and we probably will now. We probably will have to now. Thank you very much for coming to Uncle Natchet's Woodshed. We are in the Woodshed with Bear Ryan. Be sure to check out all of her links down in the description. Check her out, stream her. Hopefully there's a bunch of different countries that she'll get an email showing that she had somebody from some country she's never heard of in her stream.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thanks again, Bear. I really appreciate you being on with me.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.